Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much for everything. We are going to have a very short inauguration. For that, first of all, I would like to invite our council members who are present here to come up the podium. Professor Nadeem Hassan Rizvi, President of Pakistan Pakistan Society of International Cardiology, please come on the stage. Noman Nasir, Vice President of PSIC, please come on the stage. Professor Zubair Akram, President-elect. General Suhail Aziz, please come on the stage. And Kashif Hashmi and Tahir Sagir. And also Tariq Ashraf, please. I think I covered everyone who is here. I hope, is any other? Dr. Jabbar Ali also. Please, you do come as well. Okay, so my job is just a couple of minutes to welcome you all, which I already did. I just want to actually let you know that General Azhar Kiani should be online with us on Zoom. And we are also honored to have special advisor to the Prime Minister on Health, Dr. Faisal Sultan. And I know nowadays with COVID, he's an infectious disease specialist and he's so busy, but he was kind enough to agree to come to this session. We have tried our best always that our meeting is purely academic and we try to avoid any political figures to invite in these inauguration or any of the sessions, but our goal is to have academic people. So that's why we decided to invite Dr. Faisal Sultan, and we are really very grateful and honored to have him in the session. I'm really grateful to all of you. Let me just tell Dr. Faisal Sultan that it was a difficult job to hold this meeting, and we have been debating for a while, should we do it or not because of the COVID situation, and especially current situation in Karachi. So we decided to mostly hold it virtually. The few people who were here, they were invited. If they want to come, they can come. But we strictly followed all the SOPs. All the attendees were only allowed if they were vaccinated. Those who were not vaccinated, they were not allowed. And everyone, there is spacing in between the chairs, and everyone is wearing the mask. So we took care of all the SOPs. So that should not be a problem. But just to briefly say, Pakistan Society of International Cardiology has really done great over the last few years, and this Pakistan Live is an annual international cardiology meeting. This is our 5th one, and just in a very short span of time, we have been known all across the globe internationally, and we have been part of all the international organizations, and they have been partnering with us for this meeting every year. And this year also, American College of Cardiology president, and there's another Society of Cardiovascular Angiography and Interventions. That's the main organization in USA. Their current president, past president, and president-elect is a part of it. They will be giving talks. And similarly, Asia Pacific Society of International Cardiology and Asia Pacific Society of Cardiology and few other organizations has been really part of it and supporting us and helping us. We do live case transmissions in this meeting. This year also, we have 12 live case transmissions from Pakistan, from Karachi, from different cath labs. The local operators will be performing these cases. You just saw briefly in the transmission which was going on when you joined. And there are like around 8 or 10 live case transmissions internationally from Turkey, from UK, USA, and China. Our colleagues from Turkey and China has been very supportive also, and they have been part of this conference as well. So this has really progressed a lot. And internationally now, any meeting which is happening in international cardiology, Pakistan Society of International Cardiology is really part of it. And as you have been already informed that the kind of things which we have done, the Pakistan Society of International Cardiology in terms of starting the registry, the national registry all over Pakistan, and also in terms of regulating ourselves by us. Basically, all the international cardiologists will be are being like credentialed, and similarly cath labs are also being brought up to the international standards, and the standard practices are being followed and they are being inspected. So similarly, we are also promoting our fellows and the trainees to have them trainings abroad. Our current president has been very proactive in that, and we are working with different international organizations to send our trainees over there for further training. So it's been a great last few years for Pakistan Society of Interventional Cardiology, and a lot of work has gone through it, and our past councils have really worked very hard, and the current council is really working, and also we have a huge number of now members who are really working with us to further help in promoting the education, research, and other activities as well. So with that, I would like to once again thank everyone who are here and on the Zoom, like virtual, and also again thank you, Dr. Faisal Sultan, for being here with us. Thanks a lot. Now I would like to invite Dr. Nadeem Rizvi. Actually, let's do Dr. Azhar Kiani, who is unfortunately couldn't come. He's on the Zoom. So I would like to, he's our basically outgoing president. So I would like to request him to say a few words before I call the current president and then Dr. Faisal Sultan. Dr. Azhar Kiani, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dr. Faisal Sultan, Special Assistant to Prime Minister on Health. Professor Nadeem Rizvi, the new President of Pakistan Society of Interventional Cardiology. Professor Bashir Hanif, Chairman Scientific Committee. Members of Management and Scientific Committees. International and local faculty members. Meeting participants. Distinguished colleagues and guests. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Good morning and good evening. My apologies for not being there physically. Reason being that I became COVID positive for the last 2 weeks. Alhamdulillah, my markers have settled down now, and I'm still PCR positive. So I thought that I will stay away and talk to you through this virtual meeting. I would like to welcome all of you to Pakistan Live 2021. As many of you know that this meeting could not be held for the last 2 years due to the challenges posed by the COVID pandemic. Although some of those challenges still remain, this meeting has finally been made possible due to the hard work of several colleagues and due to the understanding and cooperation of all faculty members and participants. I would like to especially appreciate the efforts and the hard work of Dr. Bashir Hanif and his team, PSIC Management and Scientific Committee in making this event possible. I would also like to thank all the international societies, including ACC, the Chinese Interventional Society, SKY, Turkish International Group, APSIC, APSC, and overseas Pakistani faculty for their active participation in Pakistan Live 2021. I believe that Pakistan Live provides an excellent opportunity for all members, including local and international faculty members and senior and junior faculty members, to interact and share learnings and experiences. Pakistan Live also consists of an exciting educational program for the members. I wish all the faculty members and the meeting participants a great event. I hope you all find this event productive and informative. I also hope that this event provides you an opportunity to strengthen old friendships and develop new ones. Before I conclude, I would like to take a moment to reflect briefly on how far in coronary intervention we have come in Pakistan. Starting with just a few centers doing intervention in the 1990s, it became the most rapidly expanding medical specialty in Pakistan. Currently, there are more than 90 public and private sector hospitals offering interventional cardiology services and more than 475 qualified interventionalists in the country. The spectrum of coronary intervention has also expanded to include peripheral vascular interventions, structural heart disease, and stroke intervention. Structural heart intervention includes TAVR, EVAR, and mitral clip interventions as well. Crop registry has been another major hallmark in the journey, providing a complete database of the details of the patient procedures. The most remarkable landmark interventionalists have achieved in collaboration with neurologists is the stroke intervention. Timely intervention in stroke patients has led to reduced morbidity and mortality. Rawalpindi Institute of Cardiology took the lead in stroke intervention in Pakistan and has recently completed its first 100 cases, and they deserve all kind of appreciation and congratulations. I'm confident that further strides will be made in Pakistan in the field of coronary intervention in the years to come. Taking this opportunity, since Dr. Faisal Sultan is around, I would request him that if it is possible for him, if he could push his government and could establish two vascular institutes in the country, one in the north and one in the south, where under one roof you can have all kind of vascular interventions from head to toe, having all kind of expertise, all the equipment, and all the things available, and this will be a great service to the people of Pakistan. Finally, I would like to take a moment to say that it has been an honor and privilege for me to serve as the president of Pakistan Society of Interventional Cardiology. And I would like to congratulate Professor Nadeem Rizvi on becoming the new president of Pakistan Society of Interventional Cardiology. I wish Professor Rizvi all the best in his role. I wish all the faculty members and the meeting participants as a great event once again. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zarkani. Now I would like to request Professor Nadeem Hassan Rizvi to come and say a few words.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sultan, Professor Kiani, Professor Bashir Hanif, all my esteemed colleagues, council members. I think Bashir and Azhar have already outlined most of the things, and I don't want to go into any repetitions. Because Dr. Sultan is here, I just want to just highlight a couple of things. Doctors and cardiologists all over the world are considered one of the creams of in intellect as well as ability, and they are usually on top of the pile as far as financial financial remuneration is concerned. In Pakistan, unfortunately, our cardiological community and doctors in general have not been treated as well as they should have been. I think societies are there to help and promote justly their causes. I had the honor to be one of the directors of NICVD in establishing all the programs there. And one of the two main reasons of success of that primary heart attack program and spreading all over Sindh the services for free was, one, the manpower development, but as important was the financial remunerations for the doctors. Unless you make them comfortable, I'd like to tell Dr. Sultan that one of our FCPS fellows, when he goes through 5 to 10 years of training and he comes out of it, if he's not from a well-off family, he can't even afford a motorcycle, let alone anything else. And I think the remunerations at NICVD are far ahead than they are in the rest of the countries. And I think it's not fair that people the same category, the team members who've left US, come here after training so hard and so long, there should be a uniform policy of remunerations. And I think this is the point I'd like to stress, and we will inshallah meet. And as president of society for the next 2 years, my job is to ensure that not only we give quality care, but also that the quality of our members, team members, is also well maintained. With that, I think because Dr. Bashir Hanif and Dr. Azhar Kani has already outlined everything about the society's role and the role of intervention, I would not dwell anymore on that. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone and welcome anyone. And inshallah, this will be a great meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nadeem. Now I would like to request Dr. Faisal Sultan. I think most of you know him very well. He's an infectious disease specialist, and he has a long career in Pakistan running Shaukat Khanum Hospital. He has been the CEO till he was asked to come to Islamabad to help to improve the health status in the country. So he has been working very hard. I think he was the right person to be in that place, especially in this COVID scenario, being an infectious disease specialist, and he has been helping a lot to NCOC and trying to at least contain COVID in Pakistan as much as possible. Thank you very much again, Dr. Sultan, for being here. And please go ahead. Thanks.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Bashir, Dr. Kiani, all the eminent, this true galaxy of stars in cardiology जो पाकिस्तान में हमारे पास हैं. I'm really honored to speak to you. I was really happy to hear that we have at least 90 places, 90 hospitals, public and private, where we're doing interventional cardiology, and we have 475, nearly 500 people qualified to do interventional procedures, which is, I think, great to know. I think this specialty has really evolved and come into its own and started to do things which were really in the domain of other specialties in the past. And so this is a great change and improvement that we are seeing. The other thing is that it's become obvious that PSIC is amongst a handful of very vibrant and active societies that are doing things, spread information and knowledge and training. It cuts across public and private sector hospitals, but also somewhat unusually, and I think somewhat of a trailblaze in this is the fact that you have been asked to not only maintain, or that you have gone ahead to not only maintain a registry of those that are undergoing procedures and have a regularly updated database, but also to have somewhat of an oversight role, which is great. I would congratulate you for having been asked to do this, because normally, at least in many developing countries, non-profit organizations or professional organizations or professional societies often don't have this kind of an oversight role that we are seeing having been given to you. So this is great, but with this there is also great responsibility. Self-regulation is great, but it really does put the entire onus of responsibility on your shoulders. And so I think I would urge and request that this be done with the greatest of care, concern, and balance. There are issues that the society or cardiology in general, but I think even if you zoom out and look at the overall medical sector, we face issues vis-a-vis oversight and especially registration of products by DRAP. And I have been told that that is an issue, and I am aware that that is a serious roadblock in many, many circumstances. And I'll tell you very briefly what we intend to do about it. But before I go on and tell you a little bit, give you a very mini snapshot of what we are trying to do with the reform agenda for the government, I'd like to really congratulate all of the council members and your international collaborating societies. I heard a bunch of names, which makes it clear that the society is not only looking inside, but also looking outside to make sure that they continue to learn and contribute to knowledge both ways in a bidirectional manner. And this bodes well for the future of this society, inshallah. Now, I'll talk a little bit about the challenges that you mentioned, but some of the solutions that we are looking at or trying to come around. A lot of times people are unaware of, and it's easy to forget, because the moment you hear of a national ministry or a ministry of national this or that, one feels that it somehow may have an overarching role over the entire functions of that professional area or that ministry. You may be aware that with the 18th Amendment, for a brief while, we were the only country in the world, truly the only country in the world, that did not have a functional national or central health ministry. This was, I think, a risky thing to do. And fortunately, the Ministry of National Health was created back. But the net effect of all this is that the fundamental role of the National Health Ministry is regulation, coordination, and some bit of oversight, especially in certain domains. And so the bulk of health delivery is devolved to the provinces, which is how it should be. But then there is a regulatory oversight role that is retained at the center. So with this background in mind, let me tell you the things that are important to do, which are being done. One of the most important interventions relevant to the audience at hand was to recreate the role of the national regulator of the physician licensure as well as of medical education. And the Pakistan Medical Commission is part of that whole venture to ensure that those things that had gone wrong with essentially self regulation of the profession were corrected, and we brought in a slight separation of duties in which the oversight belongs to the oversight entity of the commission, and an academic board then decides on the academic parts of it. And to automate and to make easy the whole process of transaction for the individual practitioner, but also to bring in a clear oversight based on measurables and very hard measurables on the entities that provide education, which are of course the medical college. More about it as we go along, and you will see where the real change comes from in that. In the same vein, one of the most important interventions that you might see in the coming days is the whole issue of drugs and device regulation. DRAP was originally created as a response to a crisis in cardiology, of all the things, as you might recall. But then with time, there's been mission creep. What was essentially a drug regulatory organization eventually landed on its shoulders devices as well. And while even the capability for the drugs was a struggle, devices, of course, became a much bigger struggle. So what you will be seeing in the future, in the coming weeks, inshallah, is the draft of a completely new Drugs and Devices Act, which will supplant the existing legislature and will provide the new regulator with the capability of actually regulating and fostering health, as well as ensuring that it's not just an entity that chokes work, but also provides the opportunity for growth in many of these sectors. And cardiology and interventional cardiology has been one in which, it's just been an amazing change on how the field has evolved, and what all it can do today is just unbelievable. It's almost out of science fiction today. But we're not going to have a change in our system by just reforming the oversight and review of physicians. We are the most nurse short country in the world. We are about 1 million nurses short, approximately, and our annual production is 10 to 15,000, and we are only at about 100,000 right now. So you can imagine that we have a long way to go. So we have the need for better regulation, and some of the shenanigans that you might have seen recently at the nursing regulator will highlight to you the immense need for a reform of the nursing regulator as well. And that is coming, and you will, inshallah, that's literally around the corner, you'll be seeing it. But in addition, recent events, for example, in Islamabad, highlighted the need to regulate a lot of other professions, which includes things like lab technicians, mental health professionals, other than psychiatry, things like physiotherapy, respiratory therapy, optometrists. There are, counselors. So many things exist that now require their own regulator, and you'll see the coming up of the Allied Health Council just in parallel with the PNC, the Nursing Council. In addition, you mentioned how these institutions function. To be honest, unless we change the fundamental game plan of how organizations function, or how the public sector's hospital function, you will not be able to fix the remuneration issue that was spoken about. At the end of the day, what we are trying to do is to make sure that large public sector institutions are run by governing entities who have the devolved authority for two primary things: decision-making on money and decision-making on strategic directions that the institution takes. And then they, of course, hire their own staff. And so many of these large public sector institutions ought to be run by these professional boards of people who can give. These are non-remunerated positions for the board, but they are capable people who are going to give time instead of everything being run from a joint secretary in the ministry, which is disastrous at this time. There are other interventions that I will not talk in detail about, but very briefly, there has been a reform. There is an in-process reform of the National Institute of Health by creating a new Center for Disease Control in it, a National Health Laboratory, National Health Data Center, as well as the opportunity and ability to hold registries. Now, I understand that you're doing your own registry, which is great. But there are plenty of other things, rare and common, that require either housing of a registry itself or facilitation of the formation of this registry. So that the new NIH, with again a very high-end private sector board, is already in place, and you will see the fruits of it in the coming years. Lastly, interventions on nutrition are crucially important. I know this is not directly cardiology, but we all live in a connected world, and the healthcare of the public, beyond just individual specialty areas, depends a lot on the overall environment. So we have some massive interventions going on. I was, as an infectious disease physician, we are all we always feel that some of our cardiology colleagues have much better remunerations, but I was intrigued to hear about remuneration within the cardiology community. I understand that you're referring to what people are paid in the public sector as opposed to what they can make in private practices. But that's exactly the point of institutional reform. You ought to be able to pay people according to what their replacement value is, maybe not perfectly aligned with the private sector market, but a reasonable number that allows people to have a viable living in life without worrying and resorting to things that may not be ideal or perfect. Lastly, I would say that even no matter what, even today in Pakistan, the medical profession is seen as high priority, as high prestige, and it is put at a pedestal. I can share with you a number of evidence of this, where people are going into the profession primarily because of the fact that it is still high prestige, despite the fact that some financial hurdles remain. But I would also request and urge that we continue to earn this respect and pedestal that we are put on. I always remind people that a 25-year-old medical graduate is called Dr. Sahab by an 80-year-old person old enough to be his or her grandfather, primarily because of the prestige and importance that society generally, by and large, places on us. But we must continue to earn and keep it, and that will only come from professional competence and an ethical way of practicing. So at this, I'll stop. I am just delighted to. I have caught the tail end of the previous session and saw some of the actual hard work being done. And God bless you, and thank you everybody for really putting your effort into sometimes what feels like thankless work. I do understand it. I'm one of you. Till last year, I was seeing patients. Unfortunately, in the last year or so, I have not seen patients directly. But your work in the trenches, especially in the era of COVID, is highly appreciated. And I think you are truly the pride of the nation. As you said, interventional cardiology today appears to be the top of the heap amongst all our specialties. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Faisal Sultan. We really hope that we get this draft ordinance soon, because unfortunately at present it seems like draft is their goal is to create hindrances for doing things. And you know that there was one ordinance notification regarding stent pricing that has been pending with them for last 2 years. And similarly, we are trying to bring like these national research studies to Pakistan, and to get a study approved from DRAP, it really takes like months. And I can tell you there's one international study we have been trying for last 3 years, and it's still been pending with them, and it's been going on all over the world, USA, UK, and other countries. But I really don't understand what kind of criteria they have that they are not letting us or getting it approved to get it done in Pakistan. It's a simple, straightforward stent study. And so this is, I'm just quoting you one example. So I hope that things get better at DRAP, and there is some representation of physicians in the DRAP as well, because it's really going to impact a lot. Like, for example, few months ago, there was this thing going on by DRAP people that they are going to have only generic medications and doctors will have to write generic medications. That's a good thing, but at the same time, they have to realize that means we are giving that kind of authority to pharmacists or those some of the pharmacists who are just there without even training to dispense whatever medication they want to do that over there. So this kind of things, I think physicians has to be involved and discussions should be done, and then need to come up with these kind of regulations, and hopefully this ordinance you are mentioning will come out soon and will be helpful for everyone. And thank you once again. I really appreciate your time and everything. You want to say something? Yes. Please.
Thank you for being Look, you absolutely nailed the problem. There are two things that are very important. One is the data capability on the domain for not primarily fixed on. And so I completely agree. Even see physicians and other relevant stakeholders have the help of to make sure that the device of the drug regulator has the capability to deal with vaccine. So that's one. The second thing you mentioned, research. It was never in the domain of drug and drug space. It was initially, it came out of a little requirement of standing knowledge, and thus we are myself to see how long
it takes for very simple studies to get approved. So that is going to be sorted, and because research oversight will be primarily the domain of the Health Research Institute, which is now technically part of the National Institute of Health. So yes, and by the way, it will not be an ordinance, it will be a proper act of parliament for full authority and force. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Again, for your time and coming here. Now I would like to at the end request Dr. Tayarsky to come and say a word of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Bashir. I would like to thank Professor Sultan Sahab to take time to inaugurate our PSIC meeting. I will also thank our outgoing President, General Kiani, the President Bashir Hanif, and President-elect Zubair Akram for his active involvement in our activities. I also thank the course directors of this meeting, especially Bashir Hanif, for taking pain and time. I really thank from the core of my heart for our worthy speakers, especially the international speakers and the operator who took their time to make this event successful. One of the important things regarding the conducting these type of meetings, we have to have the help of the industry. So I really thank to our device and the drug companies who helped them in organizing this event. I also thank this audience in this COVID time. They took time to come to physically attend this meeting. And also if you can see that our registration is more than 800 internationally, and we, when we are planning our conference, at times we are reluctant not to do, then we decided to go virtual, then physical, then in the end we are now hybrid. So last year we didn't conduct our meeting due to COVID. So it's now proven that we can conduct our international meeting on virtual basis successfully. So this is one of the successful meetings being conducted virtually that have the audience from national and the international areas. I also thank our Orbit people who have organized this event. In the end, I will thank all our persons who are attached to this conference directly or indirectly, especially our secretarial staff. And most important is Dr. Al-Salan Masood, who take pain to organize the sessions and the videos and the cases. And he took time to organize all these things. So with this, I thank all of you to attend this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I think with that, we would end this session. Thank you once again, Dr. Faisal Sultan and our council members for constant support for organizing this meeting, and also the scientific committee who worked hard with me to come up with the all very academic and important agenda. And thanks to Orbit and the industry partners. We'll go for lunch and prayer break. Lunch is served at the poolside, and the prayer, Jummah prayer, is across the street at PC Hotel at 1:30. Be back at 2 o'clock. We have a very interesting live transmission from UK, and then there will be a local transmission as well, and very interesting talks on calcified ions. So be here at 2 o'clock, and we'll continue. Thank you very much.